Hello and welcome to Channel's Book Club. My name is Olakunle Kasumo, and it's always great to be on this show where we discuss all things books. Now, we've got a special one for you today. There are institutions in Nigeria that play very vital roles in intellectual development, protecting the rights of creators of intellectual works, and so on. They do things related to books, literature, intellectual development, etc. They are very important, very vital institutions. But not many people know them. You ask a few people, have you heard of, for example, the National Library? And they're wondering, the National Library? Is it a library down the street or somewhere? They're wondering, what's the National Library? Now, look at that. If you take a copy of a book on your shelf, you will typically find behind it a number, or if you flip to the copyright page, you'll find a number with ISBN written, beside it. ISBN is very important. It's a unique identifier of your book. Who issues the ISBN in Nigeria? The National Library. So if you write a book and you need an ISBN, you go to the National Library, and the National Library issues ISBN. But that's just one of the many things the National Library does. But do we know about the National Library? That's an example. Another organization that a lot of people should know about, but many may not know about, is the NCC, the Nigeria Copyright Commission. The Nigeria Copyright Commission basically protects your intellectual property, secures your copyrights on your work for you. So if you have written a book and you want to secure the copyrights, you want to make sure that nobody takes it tomorrow and goes to print it and produce it and claim ownership of it. You have to secure the copyright, and the Nigeria Copyright Commission ensures this for you. That's another example. Then you've got the NPA, Nigeria Publishers Association. What do? All the publishers in Nigeria, whether big or small, come under the umbrella of the Nigeria Publishers Association. So they protect their rights, they enlighten, they educate, and so many things like that. Another organization is called ReproNIG. Now, not many people know this organization, but it's crucial. ReproNIG means Reproduction Rights Society of Nigeria. So, for example, there are a lot of important things. Well, for example, you go to campuses in Nigeria or universities in Nigeria and you see students just photocopying and scanning textbooks and just using them. Nothing goes to the creators of those works. ReproNIG is the organization that protects the rights of the creators of such works. But that's not the only thing they do. They ensure that even the students and the lecturers and everybody enjoy the work. Everybody is happy, not just students using your textbook and you are not getting anything out of it. Well, there's more to learn about ReproNIG, and we will definitely be bringing experts to explain what ReproNIG is all about. But today, let's get started with NERDC, Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council. Now, think about all the schools across Nigeria. Who determines the curriculum a school uses? And who determines the textbooks used in schools? That's the NERDC for you. What an important organization. Just imagine that. All the textbooks used in schools across Nigeria have to be checked, have to be assessed, have to be approved before they are used in the schools. Now that's what NERDC does. But then, let me allow the experts. A senior official of the NERDC, Dr. Garba Gandu, we caught up with him somewhere and we said, you've got to explain what NERDC does for viewers, for people, for Nigerians out there. We need to know what NERDC is all about. And he was happy to give us some minutes. Enjoy.
Yeah, when we are talking of curriculum review and you have a new curriculum, it normally operates at the backdrop of, societal changes, advancement in the frontiers of knowledge, new technology, And not only that, even the curriculum itself, the design process is so dynamic that curriculum would have to reflect, the new developments in terms of what happens in the society and then globally. And you contextualize that, and then you turn it into, learning contents. And part of really what informed, the curriculum review is the expectation first that any curriculum that is in the school system globally, it is required that it is reviewed at some designated periods or time, which usually is within the period of 4 to 5 years. And that is the curriculum cycle. So by the time that it is due, it is expected that it should be reviewed. So that's one. Then apart from that, also societal needs and also changes in, policy direction. And then also development in in technology, also the field of education, because education is dynamic as well. And but apart from this, also there are new approaches to curriculum design itself, not only in terms of the fields of knowledge, but even the curriculum design now, there are new ideas, there are new approaches that will give, room for better learning, better instruction, and then attainment of positive learning outcomes. And these are really were the factors that influenced, the review of the curriculum. But then bringing it down also, we also undertook, survey nationally that revealed that there are a lot of things that need to be brought in the curriculum, which people shared. So it was like something that, enabled us to have a kind of a democratic approach to it in such a way that there is what we call equity participation by, Nigerians across the different divides that ventilated their views and, desires for the learning content that they would want to be taught, in our Nigerian schools. These are virtually the issues that inform the review of the curriculum. Curriculum, as it is, for it to be delivered, there are different factors, one of which is the issue of the production of textbooks and instructional materials, including e-resources. The learning contents would be what would determine, the content of the curriculum. And not only that, also the other elements of the curriculum in terms of instructional strategies, in terms of evaluation, in terms of learning activities, are all things that will influence the design of the book through the book chain. So curriculum is very key to really shaping the content that will go into the textbooks, and even the approaches, and even the structure of the instructional materials. So there is this strong relationship. It is when we have the textbooks that teachers will be able to use, learners will be able to learn from, for them to be able to acquire the contents that have been so ingrained or entrenched in the curriculum. Well, you see, when we are talking of the importance, of NERDC, and then the role that it will play, is within the realm of its mandate, as is required of it to perform its functions entrenched in its act and what have you. And this cuts across the various aspects of education in terms of book development, educational research, language development, curriculum, and all that it takes, and even book development. So in as much as we would operate within the realms of our function, that a lot needs to be done. But then the whole issue is this: it is something that will require the collaboration and synergy between the different arms of government, and also translating policy directions that would bring in the needed development in the country, especially in the education sector. And I think NERDC has a very pivotal role to play, especially in translating government policy direction to be able to put our education in proper perspective, and for us to be able to really deliver and then attain positive learning outcomes and educational outcomes.
That's the NERDC for you. More to come. Before we go to another organization, here is a reading.
Good day, everyone. My name is Tunde Adeparusi, and I'm happy and excited to introduce my new book titled The Throw of a Lemon. It's truly a pleasure to be here to share a piece of my world through poetry. A throw of a lemon is an invitation and exploration of faith, resilience, and the small, seemingly mundane moments that shape our existence. For example, a lemon in many cultures symbolizes bitterness, sharpness, sometimes even unexpected sweetness, and that is what this book captures. The delicate balance between hardship and hope, between loss and survival, between memory and transformation. These poems were a tapestry of my lived experiences and, of course, my fleeting thoughts, my deep reflections on the world around me and as it appears to my senses. They speak of love, loss, displacement, nostalgia, and the quiet revolutions of the human spirit. Some verses will whisper, others will sting, but all of them aim to resonate in the chambers of human emotion. I would love to read or to share with you a poem that embodies this essence. And then that we will take in from page 5 of the book. And is a poem titled The 16-Year-Old Boy in Me. The early days of my knowing were a dark phase. Knowledge and assimilation were a great challenge. I feared that life staring me in the face. I had questions. Oh, how I hated my challenge. Evenings were spent in a room where candles were burnt. Yes, Dad had converted it. It's now called the library. Old books arranged on dusty shelves, including his diaries. Among them were encyclopedias, but nothing was learned. Only the photos of those beautiful countries helped my view. Learning was hard, comprehending practically impossible. But Dad continued to work on my worldview. Suddenly, impossibility became possible. Light gained penetration into my head, and knowledge was birthed. Now I read till late in the night, even in my bed, enjoying the new me, because Dad gave me a lead. A new life began on the inside. My imagination gave my mind expression. And ever since, I never left my dad's side. But for him, I would never overcome that depression. This is the story of that 16-year-old boy in me. This was composed when I was 16 years old, while reflecting on my past academic struggle. This was 1989. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed A Throw of a Lemon, 50 years of life, love, and learning. Thank you. God bless you.
I hope you enjoyed that. Well, there are some other types of organizations apart from organizations like the NERDC who are doing incredible work across the country. They are the superheroes as far as I'm concerned. They just do their work quietly, promoting education and youth development and in rural areas, in urban areas. Nobody hears about them. Nobody knows about them. But we are determined to beam some light on such organizations and the individuals behind them going forward because Nigeria needs them. Well, here is one. Enjoy this.
Being talented is very good. You can be very good at something, but if you don't discipline yourself, that talent is a waste. You need to discipline, nurture that talent every day, and to nurture it, you need to be disciplined. Number 2 is a love for reading. You understand? For you to get to that point of excellence, you need to read. The idea of JADE Foundation is to empower people through education, is to create a better Nigeria. What a better Nigeria without children or without a generation that is not educated. When you are educated, you are empowered.
Great thing JADE is doing there, fantastic. Many organizations like that are doing great things. We don't know them, we don't hear about them, but they are the real heroes in the country. Well, the Nigeria Prize for Literature is the biggest literary prize in Africa. No doubt about that. We are big fans of the Nigeria Prize for Literature. It is inspiring writers, not just in Nigeria, but across the African continent. And it is on this year. The 11 have been long listed. The race is on. After the 11 will be the 3. After the 3 will be the big winner. Well, when the 11 are picked, a book party is organized for them. As usual, we were there. Enjoy this.
The Committee for Relevant Arts, CORA, and the Nigeria Prize for Literature Book Party returns for its 18th edition. Following tradition, the event spotlights the 11 long-listed authors for the 21st edition of the Nigeria Prize for Literature. The genre of this year's edition is poetry.
The likeliest literary genre a budding Nigerian writer will start with is poetry. It is why this country hosts the most acclaimed verse masters in the universe. And this afternoon, we're acknowledging 11 of them. I've read these lines. Trust me, I have the opportunity to read these books because I do the excerpting, that you're likely to see performed. So, I mean, these are very powerful lines. It's a very fierce competition. At CORA, we're proud to list the book party as one of the high points of our yearly program of events. It is always 3.5 months to our major outing for the year, the annual Lagos Book and Art Festival.
This annual gathering, organized by NLNG in partnership with the Committee for Relevant Arts, CORA, has become one of the most anticipated moments in Nigeria's literary calendar. Today we come together not merely to celebrate a long list, but also to celebrate the enduring power of words, the courage of imagination, and the extraordinary role that literature continues to play in shaping our national consciousness.
Sponsored by Nigeria LNG, the Nigeria Prize for Literature received 223 entries this year, producing a long list that features a blend of old and new faces of the prize. Sadiq Zukoji, Ayo Oyeku, James Ugwueze, and Ogaga Ifowodo return on this year's long list.
We all drank the water fetched from the same well. But since we grew up, some of us have children and wealth, while others only contend with misery.
In alphabetical order, the long-listed works are Adult's Love by Tanire Ojaide, Bakandamiya, and Elegy by Sadiq Zukoji, Black Passport by Paul Akpomuje, 2,000 Blacks by Ajibola Tolashe, Ceremony for the Nameless by Theresa Lola, and Corpus and the Mystic Verses by Ayo Oyeku. Others are Floral's Love Colony by Tari Soburumu, The Origin of Wounds by Razak Malik Bolahon, The Years of Blood by Adedayo Agarawu, Unbind Me Now by James Ugwueze, and Why Does God Need a Gun by Ogaga Ifowodo.
All the doors leads to music. Let's open some windows, close the country, Emotions run deep into the portraits.
From what I read about Flora, she's the one that gave us the name Nigeria, and she didn't give us that name. She gave us that name out of love for a country, love for a people. So I saw all that, and I decided that I think I should write a brief history of it.
This book began its life with a working title, Creeds and the Incredulous. Before, while I was rereading and revising for publication, that question asked by the poet persona, Leah Sharibu, who is a composite figure for all the abducted girls, for all who have suffered victimhood, asked of the captors, why does God need a gun?
In the end, it's how we behave as human beings that matter. If we are good human beings, we won't have bad politics or bad governments. So this, in a way, is an affirmation that the things of childhood will help us in adult life to be more human and also adopt such human values as to make us more governable and make others progress in spite of everything.
I wanted to introduce people to the way that we are in the North, because oftentimes a lot of people pontificate about the North, but it's actually a place that people do not know about, and it's a place of great history, great tradition, and we also have poetic tradition, and so I wanted to bring it to the forefront, because oftentimes when people talk about Africa in general, the slaw of Africa, the dark continent, but it's always the ignorance of others being projected onto us.
I'm a migration scholar, and my research is grounded in migration narratives. And I imagine that not many people want to talk about migration stories, especially with what is happening in the US now. A lot of poets, my friend is here, Razak Malik, we talk about politics in the US a lot. A lot of people are running from talking about migration stories. And I wanted to document my own experience of migration and diasporic life.
The idea to write Corpus stemmed from my love for animistic verses. If you look into our religions, animism is layered and in-depth with everything that we are doing, from the myth to the culture to the beliefs, into everything. Animism is layered in it. So I now thought, okay, let me pick one powerful religion, an old religion, which is the Ifa religion, with the Yoruba race believe in. So I did a thorough research on that and tried to settle on the first principal odus, which is like the first 16 corpus. So I worked on that.
I'm looking at all of these wounds that we carry with us. How do we heal these wounds? How do we return to these wounds or tend these wounds and confront these wounds? And so I was thinking about all of these questions. But again, the act of the collection is also grounded in the lives of the children. Because most times when there is unrest or kidnapping or abduction or anything, I think about the children.
The Years of Blood is collecting an archive of the friends who are dead now, friends who are still alive, who we get to talk about these things together, friends whose mother, friends who have lost a brother or a sister, friends who no longer have their parents because they were kidnapped. So it's an opportunity for me to think about myself, my past, and the people that I still have in my life, and properly bury friends.
Behind me now is a collection of poems that demand answers in smoke. So my motivation is to rouse the lion in Nigeria and Nigerians.
Poetry has been a big part of the ecosystem in Nigeria, in storytelling, in preserving our cultures, in shaping the way Nigeria is seen on a global platform. And so it's an honor knowing that, I'm inked as part of those writers that are, forever part of the literary canon.
I'm excited to be here. I'm excited. I'm elated by the news of the long list. that's most of what I feel about that. It's just it's excitement. And yeah, that's what I'm celebrating, the fact that, I'm here in the company of great people.
Academics, sports, and literary enthusiasts at the event commend NLLG and CORA for sustaining the initiative, while congratulating the long-listed authors for their outstanding works.
I look forward to it every year, actually. It's a nice way to meet other authors. I'm an author myself, a published author. It's a nice way to engage with the NLNG. I like what they're doing. I think that the prizes that they give, whether it's for literature or for science, helps to encourage Nigerians to write and to engage in science and research. And I think they're doing a good job of it.
Yeah, it helps to create awareness. It also helps to promote the good work that the LNNG has been doing over the years. And this year particularly, they've also added the creative arts into the list of awards. So there are now the 3 categories.
The long list will be trimmed to a short list of 3 in the coming weeks, while the eventual winner will be announced in October and will receive the prestigious Nigeria Prize for Literature alongside a cash prize of $100,000 US.
And this is where we end the show today. As always, we're delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.